watched Nintendo, man, my thumbs were always sore. We stayed up past midnight, beating every score. Now I'm almost 21, playing evermore.
All right, welcome to Beaveman and the Doc. I am the Beaveman broadcasting. Now, well, I'm not really broadcasting. I guess podcasting from Arizona. And with me, as always, is the Doc.
The Doc.
The Doc. All right.
Still
so
around.
he's
Took
still
a week
around.
off. I'm back. Ready to go.
Well, that's good. Okay. All right. Well, I didn't take a week off. I did my podcast with the daughter, so that went pretty good. And you got a break, so that's not bad. So that's good. All right. How is the
breaks are good.
Yeah, breaks are good. How's the weather there in Michigan?
It doesn't want to make up its mind if it wants to be spring or winter.
Yeah. Oh well. That is Michigan. That is how things are.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So this week I have taken the liberty of pulling out my most favorite, my new favorite magazine, and delving into that for our topic this week. Just a little bit of background for you. When many years ago, and I hate to do this. I hate to bring up these things that I hate it when people say that I used to be able to do this and they can't do it anymore. Do you get that?
What's that?
Well, I mean, like, yeah, I used to be able to do this. Well, you can't do it anymore, you fat fuck. One of those things.
Oh, like the big fat guy who says that he used to be able to see his penis, but now he can't anymore.
Well, that's even more extreme. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
So far, no matter how much weight I seem to put on, I can still see it.
Well, that's good for you. Yeah, that's great. I can counter that and say that if you do lose weight, it does look bigger. So that's always good.
Yeah.
Well, at least
I'm working on that. I currently have no Mountain Dew.
Oh well, that's good. That you can't beat that, I guess.
Big glass of water on my desk next to me.
Excellent. Well, I'm kind of remote, but there is a little gym here, which is kind of nice. So there is a little place for me to work out. And this little gym has a climbing rope suspended from the ceiling. So, did you have to climb the did you have to climb the rope in the Navy?
No, but I was gonna make a joke about you climbing on someone named Jim.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, you probably should have made that comment, but you didn't.
It was too late. But
It was too late. Okay.
You know how it goes.
Right. Well, there's a climbing rope, and I thought, well, hey, maybe I should climb the rope. I used to not have a problem climbing the rope, but I do pull-ups, so I know I can pull up my body weight. So let's see how far I can get up the rope. And I didn't make it up the rope.
Pull-ups were horrible, man. That was like the hardest thing. I could do the running, I could do the swimming, I could do the push-ups and the sit-ups, no problem. And I get up there, especially after, swimming a few hundred yards, and I was supposed to be able to do 7 pull-ups, and I got to about 3, and I was like, oh, shit.
Wow.
That was the worst.
That is rough. Well, it would be harder if you had just got done swimming, but that is kind of the point, though, is to be able to do multiple things and then still be able to do something else. Like, jump. For us, it was, okay, let's jump in and then stay up all night and let's walk, 6, 7, 8 miles, whatever, and then set up an ambush and then stay up all night with that ambush and then go walk and do a live fire.
Yeah.
Something miserable like that. Let's say.
Well, it worked out better the next time I tried it, where I only had to do. I had a fast enough breaststroke to where when I got out of the water, my arms weren't so tired, and it made it a lot easier to get through it.
So you adapted.
But,
you figured out a way to adapt. And
yeah,
obviously that comes with practice.
Just pacing myself.
Yeah, so I couldn't climb the rope, and it wasn't. I don't think it was. It doesn't matter what the reason is. The bottom line is I couldn't climb the rope, which was very sad for me. It was a sad realization that yes, indeed, I am actually getting older. So, and I don't think it's not that I can't pull myself up because I can do pull-ups. It was my grip. I could not hold onto the rope. It actually hurt my hands to hold the stupid rope, to hold my weight with the rope. That's pretty sad.
Well, didn't you base some of your weight on your feet by wrapping it around the rope?
Yeah, but you
wrapping
still
the
have
rope?
to. Yeah, but you still have to pull yourself up along the rope. You still have to grab the rope to pull yourself up. It's not like you can't just suspend myself there forever with my feet. No, the rope hurt my hands. It was pretty pathetic and sad. So
You need hand exercises.
I think that the only way to prepare yourself for climbing a rope is climbing a rope.
Yeah, perhaps.
So even
Monkey
if
bars.
I might have to. Well, see, but I can do those. See, I can do all that stuff. Even if it was bars going straight up, I could pull myself up. But this was a matter of fact that the grabbing the rope itself hurts my hands.
I haven't even tried monkey bars in a while. I doubt I could do one pull-up in my current condition.
Right. Well, maybe you could. In your condition, you might be able to pull the bar down to you.
If I bend it.
You just might be able to, like, just from the force of the gravitational force pulling on the bar itself. You should be able to. You might have a better chance that way.
In my defense, I am out of shape. I am not quite that overweight, really.
Yeah, well, you have a shape. I mean, there's a shape there.
Pear shape.
But this was not. Let's bust on Doc time. This was me telling you that it was kind of sad for. I mean, obviously, I know I'm getting older. Next week I'll be 46, and I think that the problem is that my mind is so young. When I think about myself and the things that I can do, it is a little bit upsetting to me when there's things that I can't do. And I just assumed, foolishly, that I would be able to climb the rope.
You think Benjamin Franklin had feelings like that?
I don't think so because the man didn't look like he was super physically active in the first place. I would say most.
Yeah, but
his was mental strength.
This was like
the power of the penis.
250 years ago, and the man, when he was 75 years old, fathered 13 children from 13 different women that we know of.
Well, yeah, but that always works. That's not something that for men that always works. That's not.
He didn't have the little blue pill like people do nowadays.
Well, not knowing that you need the little blue pill is a little bit different, and his diet was a little bit different also. So even if he was a fat fuck, and probably by that standards he wasn't super fat, just maybe that's the artist's rendition of him, he was still probably, in a lot of respects, healthier. Their diet was healthier. Let's just say that.
Yeah, he drank wine with every meal.
Hey, well, everybody's got some secret formula, don't they, for their longevity?
Dude's my hero.
The dude is your hero. Okay.
Yeah, he is.
I could actually. You should be him for Halloween because I think you could actually pull it off. Yeah,
that's not. I'll look into that.
You could probably pull that look off. There's a really funny.
Fun.
What was it? Parks and Rec. They had an episode where the guy was. He was like a Benjamin Franklin. They were trying to get him to stripper. No, I think maybe it was The Office. They thought they were trying to hire a stripper, but they actually hired, the historical figure. Yeah, kind of disturbing. Anyway, so my point is, I have noticed since pretty rapidly since 2017 that I've started to feel older, and not mentally older because I'm very childish. And the things that I do, but I was talking more along the lines of physically. In 2017, I can actually pinpoint the time frame my eyes started to get very bad, and to the point that when I would look at do ear exams and eye exams, it didn't look very clear for me, even if I adjusted the scope I was using. So I had to go to the doctor and say, "Hey, I think that I need some sort of correction. I need bifocals or something like that." He's like, "Oh no, you don't need bifocals yet." But I can't freaking see, so that's really bothering me. So that was the first thing. Obviously, as time goes by, physically, you change a little bit. But there's lots of things that I could do that I'm like, well, I can still do this and I can still do that, and I try to stay in shape. But not being able to climb the rope, that kind of actually pissed me off a little bit.
Yeah, I'm noticing things that come with age. You know how, like, as you get older, you start getting spots here and there, and every time I'm paranoid about like skin cancer and things like that. So every time I see a new spot, I start going through anxiety over it.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty normal. You had a lot of sun exposure as a youngster.
Yeah, I did.
And you're very fair-skinned, so yeah, that's pretty reasonable. But I mean, that's what skin surveys are for, and that's why medical professionals tell you, oh, just keep an eye, take a look at it. We have little criteria that we follow, little A, B, C, D criteria for lesions. But we also, my kind of thought process on that is, when in doubt, cut it out. So if there's any doubt, people just lap that stuff off and send it for a biopsy anyway. So, there you go. And if it makes you feel any better, like the melanomas generally don't show up in, they don't commonly show up in sun-exposed areas.
Well, the spot that recently worried me is on the back of my arm, and my arms get a lot of sun exposure, especially during the summer when I'm mowing the lawn and whatnot. And the other day, I had a mole appear. I guess you could call it a mole. It wasn't very raised. It was more like a rough spot. Started getting darker, and then when I was washing it in the shower, it started bleeding. So I made an appointment, have them take a look at it.
Yeah.
Just in case.
So it's just rough, basically. So it could be like an old man's seborrheic keratosis or something crazy like that, maybe, or actinic keratosis or whatever. I'm sure it's fine. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Just
Time will tell.
Yep, I wouldn't worry about it. But do you think you're getting more paranoid now because of the classes you're taking too?
No, actually, it's my parents. They both had cancer. My grandparents, my grandfather, he had cancer, and so there's a little history going on there, and that probably fuels my fear. And then there's the spot on my cheek, which it's probably just some kind of psoriasis or something, but it's getting rough the same way.
It's probably a jelly bean.
Jelly bean?
Yeah, you probably just have a jelly bean stuck to your face.
Oh, yeah. I hate jelly beans.
Yeah. Did you consider that it might just be a piece of candy or something that you left up there?
No, I don't think so.
No?
I'm not big on candy. I like popcorn.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm big. I like candy. I like chocolate, but I try to stay away from it. Anyway, so feeling like an old man is what I'm saying. This is pretty sad. My hair is starting to thin. I can see my scalp line in the mirror, which I have never been able to do, but now I can, which is very strange. And I guess that maybe I'm getting a little bit worried about it, so I think I'm actually going to practice climbing the rope now, which is pathetic and sad. I have no reason to be able to. I have no need to climb a rope, but it just gives me another goal to accomplish. But so aging is a normal. It's a normal thing. That's what I'm saying. It's just how you attack it. But did you know? See, in my mind, we age because we're supposed to age. Obviously.
Right.
And that's just how it is. We age. If maybe we'll age and to the point where we have a natural death at an elderly age, or some people get taken by health problems, accidents, et cetera, et cetera. But what I didn't realize, Doc, is that we don't age because of programmed cell death and because cells no longer divide anymore. Did you know that that's not why we die?
It's funny that you say that, because I was about to just say that because we're pre-programmed to, and so I guess I'm about to learn something.
Well, Doc, I found out that it's actually wrong. I was wrong. It's not because of pre-programmed cell death that we're supposed to have cell replication, and eventually it stops dividing. You'll see this with our muscle tissue. It doesn't get big like it did before when you tear it down and build it back up. We only have so much programming for our kidney cells to make so many kidney cells as time goes by, and same thing with brain. When you see this you see the scans of the elderly, there's atrophy of the brain, and that's normal. But I found out that I was wrong. I was wrong. That's not why. That's not why we age.
Well, what happens?
Well, apparently, it's because, according to the scripture, it's because of sin's curse that death awaits us all. Because of Adam and Eve.
Those bastards.
Yes, apparently, I did not know this. I am privy to the story of the Bible, but apparently we age because they ate the apple. And that's why we died. So because of them, we could have lived forever, but now we don't get to.
Well, if you believe in that sort of thing, and I'm not going to speak for other people, but you know how we've said that there's a certain amount of truth in every myth or lore, and if you believe in that sort of thing, it also says that once we die, that we will have a second chance in the next life, so to speak. So it's not all bad, but yeah, they fucked us.
So apparently, though, any research that we've done into anti-aging to determine why we have programmed cell death and why our DNA is programmed a certain way, or the ends of the DNA, et cetera, that could be possibly linked to aging that we could figure out in time. Not necessarily is that going to provide us with any type of longevity, but I think that perhaps they should be looking for the all ever present ate the apple gene. Maybe.
They have been looking for that. Last week I read something that said that they were looking at pre-programmed cell death in terms of a cure for cancer. So they're able to isolate those particular cells and just program them to die quickly.
Oh, once again here, let me for our listeners who, our broad base of listeners that we have, it could be broader, by the way. So if you listen to this, fucking share an episode for God's sake. Anyway, Doc is not a scientist. I am not a scientist. We do not spend hours and hours and hours and hours studying these topics that we talk about. I pick a topic, I find it interesting, I read a little bit about it, I bring it up to Doc, and we talk. We give our opinions. We are not genius. Well, I personally am not a genius. Doc, I've known him for a while. I suspect he as well is not a genius.
I am.
Oh, I find that most people who profess their intelligence are fucking stupid. Anyway,
I'm a genius and a species.
He is. He is a master of nothing and a scholar of little. Anyway, I as well am the same. But I can see what the point you're making and the reason why they would be looking at this. I guess Bill Nye Science Guy Science Alert or whoever. It's because cancer cells do not have programmed cell death. So therefore, they can grow out of proportion just like crazy. So they don't grow, they don't have, they don't experience the same level of apoptosis as a regular cell does. So they don't have, they can just grow like crazy. So if you could see if you could find that link, if you could stop that cellular growth or that cellular changeover, then yes, theoretically, of course, you could stop cancer, that particular type of cancer. But then you could also get into the conspiracy theories that they've already found the cures for cancer, and it's not financially beneficial to anyone to cure cancer.
Oh, I believe that to be true.
Oh, I believe that also. But is there an overall blanket treatment for cancer? No, I think it would be cancer specific. And I think I said before that for example, you look at breast cancer, you can look at some of the studies and some of the outcomes, and they don't seem to be that much better than when we first started treating breast cancer, which is quite sad. But I digress, and that was not really what we were talking about, but that was a good point, Doc. Thank you very much.
We digress all the time.
We digress all the time. But we have to blame Adam and Eve because we age.
Yes, those bastards back to that.
Had it not been for them, we would live longer. But I'm looking at the timeline here. And this is assuming this wonderful fucking magazine that I find to be a plethora of great information that my sister-in-law gave me, points out the wonderful timeline of Adam, the first man, the father of us all, if you will. Well, I guess maybe. He lived to be a ripe old age of 930.
I was thinking about that because in the book of Genesis, they've also got something that said like Noah's age was somewhere like around 780 or something to that extent. And I think the calendars were different back then. Well, and instead of measuring in years, they were measuring in months.
Okay,
because
so I looked that up.
They count the cycles of the moon.
Yeah, I looked that up for us because that confused me too. Because you would think that, okay, if they're saying 930 was the age of Adam,
It'd be like 80.
yeah, that's what I would think. But I was looking back to see what the direct correlation is, and of course, if you look at any type of sites, religious sites, they're still going to say, "Oh no, he was 930." Well, yeah, if they're following a lunar cycle, I would say that it's more likely that yes, he was probably more like 80 or 90 years old. But according to some other research, we follow what? We follow the Gregorian calendar. Um, and prior to that, it was widely the Julian calendar. And those two are not that far off. They're not that far off from each other.
930 would be 77 years old.
Okay. Well, see, that's still a little weird because then you find another place where it says Old Testament time was, like we said, was based on the cycles of the moon rather than a solar calendar. So some interpretations could be that, yeah, he's like you said, 77, 80 years old. Or there's some interpretations saying
the story
that
of Noah's Ark is so much older than the Bible. It's insane. They found parchment out in the desert somewhere over there that they dated back to 4500 BC with the story of Noah's Ark on it. So it's unfathomable when the whole concept of Christianity didn't even occur until right around 2500 BC, which was Akhenaten, or as they say, the agnostics. He was the first pharaoh to propose monotheism, one God, not many. And so that was supposedly the birth of the Christian beliefs. So just thought I'd throw that out there.
Well, okay, but if we're still looking at timelines, though, do you think that maybe that it's not only that if that was really their actual age, that maybe they just made those ages up to sound impressive? Because even if they followed a lunar timeline, they still wouldn't be off that much by a year.
Yeah, I would think that eventually they would quit counting. I can't imagine. I mean, I suppose somebody somewhere might have tried to count, but I don't think that was a big priority for them. So whoever wrote it down to pass it on, maybe they were just estimating.
Well, I'm going to say that even if you were 930 years old and they were still going by in other words, if you measured by festival. So you have like the lunar cycle, and you said, okay, well, this is the equinox or whatever. You'd still know if how many of them went by in order for you to say, well, this is a year. It still wouldn't be short. It's not like we're saying he's 930 months old. He could still be, even if their years were, I would say, conservatively speaking, let's say their years were 9 months.
Well, consider that most everything in the Old Testament is parable. It's meant to convey a message, not necessarily a detail.
That's what I'm saying.
For example, in the book of Genesis, on the first day, God said, "Let there be light." On the second day, God created this, that, and they go on and on about each day how things happened. And if you take that literally, it becomes asinine. It becomes completely unbelievable. But if you take it figuratively, how long is a day when the earth hasn't been created yet? There's no sun, there's no earth to revolve around the sun, so, how long is a day? A day could be a million years. They probably just picked an arbitrary measurement and said, okay, the first step was creating light. The second step was creating earth. The third step, but they called it days because it was easier for the people of the time to relate to it.
Yeah, exactly. You're looking at how do you relate something to your audience. They understand the concept of a day. They understand the concept. As time goes by, they understand the concept of a month. It's like using it as almost like a mnemonic. If you're going to say, well, I'm going to base this religion on these 12 tenets. And why is 12 easy to remember? Because there's 12 months in a year. So you do everything based on the type of audience that you have, the type of learners or et cetera, and the people that you want to follow you in order to make it easy.
Right.
Which is probably why they should have had it as the 12 commandments instead of the 10 commandments, unless they only had 10 months then. Who knows?
Maybe that was all they could fit on those 2 tablets, and there was a third. Maybe that's what happened. There were more. They just got lost.
Well, the rumor is that there was 20 commandments, and he dropped.
Oh, well, yeah, because the
tablet.
first set of commandments got destroyed.
Yeah, he couldn't remember what they were. Apparently, he couldn't. Hey, I got these. I'm not going to read them real quick. So, I'm just going to go with these 10. Yeah.
Do what your parents tell you, damn it. Quit lying.
Yeah.
Quit stealing.
What was
Don't fuck your neighbor's
wife.
wife.
I wonder what the rest of the commandments were. Thou shalt not stick finger in a socket. Thou shalt not put penis where it doesn't belong. Let's see what else. Thou shalt not lick that.
Thou shalt not get away with it. That should have been the 11th commandment.
Thou shalt not try when thou can get by. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good tenet from that's from my military days.
It's got a little rhyme to it.
No, exactly.
If the glove does not fit, you must acquit.
That might have been another one. You never know. That might be. Who knows? I kind of like the don't put your penis in there. Don't lick that. That's always a good one. Well, so apparently the change in the cellular change, the human body, has nothing to do with actual physiology. So had they not eaten the fruit, it makes me wonder, though, do you think that why did Eve stray? Did the snake just have better game than Adam? What if Adam was hung like a tic tac? And she just equated the snake with maybe a longer member. Maybe that was cooler.
Well, some people say snake, other people say dragon, but I've heard some pretty wild adaptations of that story. I've even heard that Eve was not Adam's first wife.
Oh yeah, everybody's heard that. That little goofy spin. What was his first wife's name?
Lilith.
Yeah, some shit like that. Like, yeah.
That's
so God got it wrong.
That's an interesting story all by itself.
God got it wrong and had to make Eve instead. So he's like, this chick here is not super hot. I name you Lilith. This chick over here, she's a bit skankier. I name her Eve. Maybe that's true. Maybe Adam was like, this girl Lilith, she doesn't do oral. So can you hook me up? Maybe God. I mean, if you got all the power, if you're talking with a guy, if you want the ultimate chick, you're like, okay, I'm trying to get some backdoor action here, and Lilith isn't into it.
Maybe
Like,
he was cheating on Lilith with Eve, and Eve decided to use the fruit to split them up. Maybe there's something that our stories aren't telling us. So we could theorize. We could have some fun with theorizing of how to fill in those blanks.
Well, maybe the snake is really just another dude. There's a dude there, and she's trying to get them to go on a 3-way adventure, and really the apple is, the analogy of the baby's hand holding an apple, and they both take a bite. Adam decided he was going to take a walk on the wild side.
Giggity.
It's another dude. So they were going to do the deed with Eve, and God was not liking it.
It's about that. I remember reading about Cain and Abel, which were Adam and Eve's children, right? It said that Cain and Abel went to the nearby city of Nod to find wives. And that's almost word for word. Where did this city come from?
Oh, it's because the timeline. Oh man, man, you got to go back in time, man. You got to go back in time and ask the priest these important questions. See, you see, they got kicked out of They got kicked out of Eden, right? Everything that was going on in Eden was everything else that was going on around it was on its own timeline. See, the time in the Garden of Eden is different from the time on Earth. God created the heaven and earth at the same time. He just let that run its course. And basically, in Eden, time stood still. So by the time man got kicked out of the Garden of Eden, there was already a thriving civilization on the outside. The dinosaurs had already happened. All that shit had already happened.
Or it could be that Adam and Eve were the first man and woman that God created, but not the only man and woman that God created.
Right. That's what I just said.
Or
That's what I just
Cain
said.
and Abel went out and hooked up with their sisters.
Maybe. Maybe. But where did their sisters come from? They're not mentioned either.
Yeah, well, see, that's a pretty big gap.
That's what I'm saying, man.
It-
When I was a kid, we knew this pretty cool priest, and so he was cool because he would let you ask those questions without telling you were blaspheming or anything like that. And so that's how he broke it down. He's like, well, think about it as a timeline. He said, think of it as the time is different in the Garden of Eden. He says when God created everything, a day, and he said the same thing. He's like, a day does not mean what we think a day means. A day to God is not the same thing. It was the same thing. He said that's just a unit of measurement for us to think about.
So
he
we're
created
back.
everything.
We're back to breaking it down in terminology that the audience can understand.
Exactly, because we're all fucking retarded and cannot understand the concept of a celestial being. We break it down into human terms. Exactly. That is what exactly. But what is most important to know is that science means nothing, and that in reality is the reason why we age and die is because of Adam and Eve. Thank you very much for fucking us over.
Or what about if Eden was just another planet?
Okay. Possibly.
Or a parallel universe.
Sure.
Or maybe it was the center of the hollow Earth.
No. That's already a theory. That's already a theory, I'm sure. Pretty sure
Is
that's
it?
yeah, I think that is actually already a theory. Yes, indeed. But I go by the whole timeline thing. But yeah, it just starts to get confusing. But I think that when you look at those interpretations there, though, you have to look at it like you're seeing a Marvel movie or reading a comic book, because you're like, well, that fucking wouldn't happen. No, man, you're thinking too much into it. You got to just enjoy the story. If you start questioning it, you're going to fuck it all up.
Well, consider this, even in terms of the New Testament, which is a little more history than parable. The New Testament was passed on by word of mouth for something close to 300 years before people wrote it down and started circulating it. Christians were being hunted and persecuted as late as 500 AD. So even after writing it down, I mean, people were still fearing for their lives for having this text. So the word Gnostic, I believe, means by word of mouth. So the Gnostics were a sect of the Christian religion who passed on the stories in the Bible by word of mouth. So they would tell their kids would tell their kids, and so on and so forth. And that's, I think, where a lot of the actual detail in these stories were lost. Had they been able to write it down and the writings had survived, I think we would know exactly how old Noah was, or Adam and Eve, how old they were. We would have those details.
Well, yeah, I would say so. You run into that anytime. I mean, there could have always been a problem of literacy as well. Who could actually write, finding people who could write, being scared to keep things around that implicate you in some way, much like, how I said the apostles were dickheads by denying Christ in the first place, etc. But I mean, you can speculate all day long. But I think that problem. I think the part of the problem is that maybe Adam just didn't have a big penis. I think that's what it is. Maybe they didn't understand the importance of the largeness of the penis at the time, and Eve just felt like maybe the snake had it going on. And I like to think that the snake was not a snake. Again, just a symbolism. It was probably the devil, and he was looking ripped. Probably had a tan, rockin' bod. Maybe had the party trail leading to the groin area. Had the 8-pack, the external obliques going. And Adam was probably just some pasty loser. I don't know.
Hey, maybe Cain killed Abel because he was the devil's son and not Adam's. They were only half brothers, maybe.
Yeah, maybe it was the same thing.
Oh, that would be an interesting story.
I reckon, I guess, but why would No, I'm not even gonna go there. Not even gonna go there. Not gonna go there. I was gonna say,
I have a lot of fun trying to come up with
how would you
filling
birth
in the
that?
gaps.
I just feel like if you're gonna birth a devil baby, well, you're talking about the Renaissance depiction of the devil. Like that might hurt a little bit coming out of the uterus, I guess. A little bit of extra kicking, a little bit extra horn prodding. I don't know.
And maybe that's how Lilith died.
Well,
Eh?
I don't know. Maybe.
Lilith left Adam for the snake.
Well, it seems like Eve was leaving Adam for the snake. I'm telling you, it's just a dude, and the apple's not real. The apple is what they called the head of the penis. They both took a nibble. God didn't like that. Booted him out.
Oh, they're talking about fruit.
And they're like, oh, we were curious. Come on, God. Cut us some slack. Just a taste. Jeez. It's a little severe, actually. Yeah. Why would he be so severe? Kind of mean. Anyway, so now you know that we don't age because of program cell death. We actually age because of those fucktards. Anyway, I tend to think, though, that it actually has a little bit more to do with the actual program cell death. But brings me to this question I had for you. Would you prefer to live longer than the projected... did you know that actually your chances of dying decrease significantly after the age of 80? If you make it to the age of 80?
No.
Yeah, actually, your longevity is you're less of a chance of dying of chronic illness after the age of 80.
So basically, people who live past 80, they die when they're ready. They give up.
They pretty much are like, oh, fuck this. Like, I can only watch the wheel so many times.
All right, I'm done here. Bye.
I'm out of here. I'm done. Yeah. Actually, that makes a lot of sense, though. What's funny, though, if you look at all of the things that they want you to do for preventative medicine, right? All the preventative type stuff. Like, okay,
actually,
you're
I
50.
think you may have it backwards.
What's that?
That people with chronic illnesses usually die before 80. So it's not that once you hit 80, you're in the clear. It's just that if you make 80, it just means that you got lucky. You don't have those illnesses, which usually take you out before then.
Yeah, that's basically it. That's basically what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you're relatively healthy when you hit 80, you're not suffering from a billion chronic diseases, and we're just keeping you alive with pumping you up with a bunch of shit, then your longevity, your life expectancy is pretty good for the next 20 years. Yeah, if you've got a bunch of chronic diseases and they haven't killed you by the age of 80, no, that doesn't mean that your longevity all of a sudden goes up. I mean more like the relatively healthy folks. They make it to 80, they're probably going to make it a little bit while longer.
Yeah, I'd love to live longer.
I would if I was going to be like in shape. I don't want to be somebody who's in chronic pain. I don't want to piss myself or shit myself, and I don't want to lose my mind. So,
if I have my facilities, if I have my head about me, I think I'd be fine. I'd be fine even with a certain amount of pain.
Yeah, a certain amount of pain. I don't mean like debilitating pain. I don't want like hooks for hands and bent up feet and all that stuff. No, thanks. I'll pass. No, but anyway, the funny thing I was going to say was you have all these things that they want us to do, right? So you turn 50, get a colonoscopy. You turn 50, have somebody rub your prostate. All these different things. Those different recommendations that they have basically go away the older you get. They're like, fuck it, we don't care anymore. If you die, like, no, we don't need to do any. We don't need to do a colonoscopy on you. You're 70. We don't care. Your value. You no longer have any value to society. So even if we found colon cancer at the age, fuck it, we're not going to treat it. Or maybe
it seems to be the case. I mean, most of the time, like my dad, when he got sick, I know there were things that they could have done to prolong his life, and they just didn't seem very eager to take those steps. Of course, neither did he, but I think if they had taken those steps, he would have felt better and might have changed his mind. He might have had a little more will to go on. But
yeah, the thing is though, with that you always have to wonder what was the conversations that your father had that you were not involved with.
Yeah. Well, the last words that he said to me before they started giving him all the morphine and drugging him up and everything.
Oh, wait,
because
was it
of the
this?
pain.
Was it this? Because this is what I want to say. This is what I'm going to say. Did he say this? I always wanted to tell you something. And that was it.
No.
No, that's what I'm going to do. That's my plan. That's what I'm going to do.
He said, "Not now, John." those were my dad's last non-drugged words to me. I was trying to ask him a question about a couple of things, and he's like, "Not now." It's like, okay.
No, I have mine planned out. I wanted to tell you something. That was it.
Leave an unfinished sentence.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do something. I'm gonna do something fucked up like that, but then I'm gonna leave a note behind that says, "Yeah, I was just fucking with you. I didn't have any secret to tell you." That was it.
I should write a note. I should write notes to people and stash them away somewhere.
That would be pretty funny. I would have to do a funny one though. Yeah.
What was that? Have you ever watched that cartoon called Fairly Odd Parents?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
And there was the one episode when he said, "If I don't make it out of here, tell my parents they're weird."
That would be true though. What was I gonna say though? Oh yeah. So back to the whole thing. We don't know what conversations that he might have had with his team before. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's better to make us out to be the bad guy, because what harm does that do? You know what I mean?
Well, there was another thing that was pissing me off is that right up until like 2 or 3 days before he died, the doctor was saying, "Oh yeah, he could still make it. You guys might be going fishing this spring."
Well, he could.
He was full of shit.
But he could have. I mean, I guess I look at it from two angles, right? I look at it from the angle. Well, I look at it probably more angles than that. I look at it from the perspective of, okay, is this my family that they're talking about? And then I look at it from the healthcare perspective also, where do I want to say definitively that I know for sure that this person's not going to make it, or that there is a ray of hope? Most of the time when I've been in that situation, which always sucks, the majority of the time I've always said, this is how it looks. This is what I think. And, say your goodbyes, basically. You just
of course,
you don't know,
maybe,
but you do want to give hope.
Maybe what that doctor was saying was a reflection of what I was thinking before, is that there were things they could have done to treat him, to extend his life, but he chose not to do it because he didn't want to go through all the pain and all of the, he did not react very well to the chemo. And he had kind of a bleak outlook on whether or not the chemo would actually work.
Yeah.
I think it would have, but he was almost angry in a way.
Well, I think that it's very important to have someone make their own choice, and at times, what I said before was very accurate. Is it better for you to feel like you've got some anger towards the medical people, or would it be better for you to have anger towards your father if there was a discussion that you knew nothing about?
I don't think he was angry at anybody in specific, but I think he was just angry. Stages of grief they talk about.
For you to manifest your feelings on. I look at it from the
Oh, with
perspective
me?
of I would much rather have a conversation with my patient and say, that I understand how this is. It's my job to take this blunt for you so that your child doesn't have any animosity over the choices that you made. In other words, is what I'm saying. So it's far better for me to look like the bad guy than it is for your father to look like the bad guy to you. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Because
Yeah.
that doesn't hurt. That doesn't damage me in any way. It's okay if you think of me as the bad guy.
Yeah.
I want the relationship you have with your father to maintain. It's kind of like how we used to
I don't
fuck
think
with.
it would have made any difference with me, but I can understand that there are people who might see things differently.
It's kind of like how the doctors used to fuck with us when I was an ER nurse, right? The ER doctors would be like, "Oh God, this person is doing this, and it's driving me fucking crazy, and I don't know what to do about it. Can you do something about it?" So then, you go in and you're the bad guy to the patient to get them on the straight and narrow, and then the doctor comes in and plays good cop, and they complain about you, and they're like, "Oh God, yeah, that's horrible," and then all of a sudden they're on the doctor's side and they're no longer a pain in the ass. So you had to take the blunt of everything and make it look like you're some sort of dickhead, but it was what they requested you to do in the first place. So you look like the bad guy, but the doctor looks like the good guy. And in the big picture realm, is there a better way to do it? Well, maybe. But in the big picture, the patient's getting taken care of, and that was what was important.
Well, I guess I'm just the kind of guy who doesn't need somebody to manipulate me that way. Just tell me what's going on, and I'll deal with it.
Yeah, but again, you don't know it's not manipulation if you don't know everything that's going on. In other words, there could be things that they tell us not to tell you. That happens all the time. It's like, please don't share this. Please don't do this. I don't want my children upset. I've heard that lots of times.
Well, I think he knew he was. My mom said no, but I think he knew he was dying long before he told us. I remember him coming home one day, and he was, he was complaining, I guess you could say. The doctor told him that he had some kind of walking pneumonia because he had a shadow in his lung, and it turned out that was the cancer that killed him. And I think he knew then. If he didn't know for sure, he certainly suspected it, because it was right around the time when that movie Gran Torino. Have you seen that movie?
Oh yeah,
Clint Eastwood. Yeah, it was right around that time, and that was oddly enough the last movie that I sat down and watched with him, and he got real quiet, and at the time I didn't understand why, and looking back, I'm pretty sure he knew what was going on.
Well, like I said, we don't know what's in the head of others, what their idea of still treating or protecting their children as time goes by. My mom likes to say that she worries about me and all those things, but I'm like, well, we were never really close, so I don't know what you're really worried about. But if I flip it the other way and I think about my children, I can't imagine a time when I wouldn't want to worry about them. I wouldn't worry about them or want to protect them in some way. So maybe that's part
Well,
of it. You know,
next time your mom says something like that to you, say, "Don't worry, I'm gonna outlive Doc. I'll be okay."
maybe, but you could.
I bet you do.
But you could pass. You know, the funny thing is though, is that if you could pass for my dad's son much easier than I can pass for my dad's son. You guys look so.
No.
You know, my God, you guys look so similar. It's funny. You guys got that white guy look. Yeah.
Like a brother from another mother, then.
Yeah, you guys look very similar. He could be your uncle. You guys look very similar.
Huh.
Anyway, no. So what was the other thing I was going to tell you? Oh yeah, we're talking about would you want to live that long? Would you really want to? I would only if I got some cybernetic parts and kept my mind, maybe. But if I'm a big fat Garapito and somebody's got to roll me on my side to wipe my ass after I poop and pee, no, I don't think so. I'll pass. Definitely. And what if you had to? What if you had to live longer? What if we lived longer and then they increase the retirement age? Oh, you got to work till you're 90.
Oh, fuck you.
We decided you got to work since everybody's living longer. We don't want to pay for Social Security. We don't want to do any of that. So you got to work till you're 90 years old.
I guess it depends on what I'm doing. Because, some people have jobs that they can keep doing. I mean, look at the government. Some really old people in the government.
Yeah,
lifetime
but
politicians.
should they be there? That's the question.
No, probably not.
I don't think so either. If you've been in, well, that gets into a whole different thing. I mean, that's a whole different area when we're talking about term limits. For God's sake, I mean, seriously, do people really need to live off the taxpayer's tit for freaking 40 years? I don't fucking think so. That's just bullshit. Anyway, no, I was just thinking more along the lines of, would I want to age that long if the life expectancy is better, right? So you can live longer. People live longer now, but
As long
is
as
the quality of life better?
As long as I'm not bored. If I have the money to afford the care, and I'm not bored, yeah, I want to live as long as I can.
Well, I mean, are you going to let? Do you have those same? Well, probably not. Obviously, I mean, you don't have those same ridiculous thoughts I do, where I'm pissed that I can't climb a rope anymore at the age of 45. Going to be 46 next week.
There's a lot of things that I can't do anymore that I used to be able to do, but what can I do about it? Quit drinking Mountain Dew, get off my ass, start exercising. Sure, I could do those things.
Well, I mean, there's a big difference between me, you can't tie your shoes anymore, and I can't climb a rope.
Oh, I can tie my shoes. It's just...
I get really tired. I just get really tired doing it.
More difficult than it used to be. That's true.
Well, I just wonder how ridiculous my thought process is sometimes, is what I'm saying.
I'd say it's pretty normal.
You think that's pretty normal? So if I ask if I ask my older brother, is it? Do you ever think about the fact that you can't climb a rope anymore? I wonder what he's going to say to me. He'll be like, "Why would I want to climb a rope? Am I trapped at the bottom of a mine shaft and there's only a rope to get me out?" I'm like, "Well, no."
No, but you might be someday.
Well, then I guess I'm going to starve. I guess I'm going to die at the bottom of a mine shaft because clearly I can't pull myself up with a rope anymore. Okay, so I think that the worrying about my eyes and my hair is probably more normal than the other thought process. Or,
I don't know. Maybe that's why I keep my hair long. Maybe on some level I'm afraid of losing it.
Possibly. I think my speaking of hair being long, mine's going to be pretty long by the time I leave here because I don't think there's a barber shop around here. So I'm going to have this really poofy, messed up do pretty soon here because I haven't had my hair cut for I think it's about 4 weeks. Yeah.
Get yourself a pair of clippers.
Fuck no, I'm not going to spend money on a pair of clippers.
One of those attachments that you can set the length on it.
No, I'm not clipping my hair. No way.
And then just
I don't want to go
make
buy
it all one length.
Let me tell you what. No, fuck that. Let me tell you why I don't want to use any clippers. I cut my hair for years. 2, there ain't no place to buy a pair of clippers around here. Let me explain to you where I'm at. The grocery store in this town, half of it is a hardware store. That should give you some indication. There is a Mexican restaurant in town, quote town. Half of it is a gas station. The funny thing is, though, there's 2 red boxes in this town. That's really kind of weird. But there's nothing in this town. Nothing.
The gas station down the street from where I lived used to have a Taco Bell in it.
Well, but that would at least be a Taco Bell. This is this is just a Mexican restaurant. There's not much in this town. I mean, for God's sakes, it takes me, what would I say, 10 hours to upload our podcast? Oh. Yeah, I'm kind of rural, but no, I'm not going to cut my own fucking hair. I did that for years. I'm not doing it. And that was when my hair grew a lot, and yeah, I'm not going to. I'm just going to be just a big poofy mess before the time I leave here.
Is there a lot of desert surrounding your area?
Yeah, I'm in the desert. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And there's mountain ranges, all that good stuff. You can see the mountains from where I'm at. Well, it's pretty cool, but it's very rural. So, interesting, though, the patients here in this area I've been very pleasantly surprised because most of them do not beg for antibiotics for every fucking thing under the sun like they do where I live in Michigan. So, apparently, the people here are more well-informed about the shit that you don't need, but I guess that comes from living in a rural area, realizing that you don't need a bunch of bullshit that the people who live in more populated areas seem to think that they need. And they also don't think that they're smarter than the healthcare providers here, and they have intelligent conversations. So I've been very pleasantly surprised by that.
Well, the last time I had a significant illness, remember back when you
now,
said
this was
you
when
thought,
you got what did you get your penis caught in?
You thought that I had some rattling going on in my lung.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I went to the doctor, they gave me antibiotics, and it kicked the shit out of whatever was hitting me. It did a great job.
I thought they told you. I thought they didn't even listen to you.
No, they did.
Oh, I thought you said they didn't listen. They didn't hear anything in your lungs.
No, they told me I had pneumonia.
Oh, I swore you told me that they said that your lungs were fine. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I heard shit in your lungs.
I know they gave me antibiotics.
Oh, okay. Well.
And it worked.
Well,
did a great
yeah,
job.
if you got shit, yeah, well, if you have shit in your lungs, you got pneumonia. If you're coughing and it doesn't clear, you've either got pneumonia or you've got some sort of pulmonary edema or you've got some fluid in your lungs or like you've got congestive heart failure or some other bullshit.
Weird sinus drip.
Yeah, so that's where you suspect it's bacterial. If you've got rattling in your lungs but you cough and I don't hear it anymore, it was radiating from your upper airway and it's fine, or you're just clearing a little bit of mucus from your bronchial tubes or something like that. If you got fluid in your lungs from a horse perspective and not a zebra perspective, it's usually pneumonia. And that's only, it's going to clear with an antibiotic. Generally speaking, you don't want to walk around with pneumonia until you become super sick.
Yeah. Well, my point being is that sometimes the antibiotics are a good thing. They actually do serve a purpose and work.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about when people ask for antibiotics when they're not indicated, which happens all the time in the more populated areas where I work. When you tell someone they don't need an antibiotic there, they question you, and you're like, no, it's viral, or it's irritant, or it's whatever. That's when they don't need one because they don't have a bacterial infection, but they want to tell you that they need one, or they want it for their cold. Like, it's not an antibiotic. So what I'm saying is these folks around here seem to be more well-informed than the people in a greater populated area, which is pleasantly surprising.
If you're gonna go in and ask the doctor for a specific medication, what's the point of seeing the doctor? If you already know more than the doctor does, you know what I mean? People shouldn't be asking for a medication.
But
they should tell the doctor what's going on, and the doctor tells them how to fix it.
No, that is the common thing now. That's what it is. That is common now. People just tell you what you're gonna do. That's the norm. It is very frustrating. And you just basically want to say that to people like, okay, if you know so much, then why don't you do my job?
It's damn counterproductive.
Oh yeah, you think? Yeah, it is
Very.
because you spend 5 minutes telling them that that's not what the treatment is, and they don't know what the fuck they're talking about in a nice way. And then they go and complain about you. That happens to providers all the time. And the reason why part of it is such a problem is because there's so many providers out there that just give them people to shut them the fuck up. And they freely admit they do it. And all that does is make the problem worse because they continue to do the same thing and everybody else does the same thing.
Well, you know why people do shit like that? It's because the drug companies have those commercials. Ask your doctor about this. So then they feel like they have a clue, and they go in, and when the doctor says no, they're like, but the commercial said.
Well, yeah, I mean, you get stupid requests. I had somebody ask me for a test to check for cancer, and I was just like, okay. And I said, well, let's look at this other stuff here too. But the test that they were asking for, this was a male patient, was asking me for the blood test for the bracket test for breast cancer as a screening test. I'm like, well, men do get breast cancer, but there's other criteria we follow. In other words, asking, is there a family history of breast cancer? And it's generally for women. But he just asked for that test instead of just regular testing for a regular physical. He's like, oh, I should probably test for this. And I'm like, that's not really a normal test that we do. And of course, I didn't do the test. I had to inform them of what we were talking about. But that happens all the time. People always come in and say, I had somebody come in and ask me for the full body scan for cancer. And they were like 26 because somebody told them they should get it. I'm like, I've never seen that test covered by insurance, for one thing. You can get it.
Yeah, it would be expensive.
Well, you can get it. You can go pay out of pocket for it. I've met a couple of people who paid out of pocket for it. I'm like, but why do you feel like you need that when maybe you should have a history and physical done first and see if there's reason to suspect anything? They had nothing. They just wanted the test. Like, that's not how. You want to talk about goofy ideas of what insurance is for? That's one of them. Like, I wouldn't even ask for that test. Why would I ask that? Why would I ask for that test? Like, I don't have any symptoms of anything. I have no symptoms of anything, and I should go get a full body scan to look for cancer? What the fuck for? Anyway.
Well, like I said, my family, I have the family history of cancer and everything like that. So every time I get like an ache or a pain in my, lower abdomen, I start thinking, oh shit, colon cancer or some weird shit like that. But what can I do?
No, but that's reasonable. That what is not reasonable is going, I want all this stuff done. Okay, for what symptom? People have this misconception that we can just order tests just because. That we can just order, you have no symptoms, you have nothing wrong with you, have nothing. And they think that their insurance company is going to pay for them to have some test done. And the only way we can get a test done is if you meet criteria. So, for example, a screening test. We can only get that test done if you meet criteria for that screening test to be done in the first place. If you're 26 years old and you say you want a full body scan to look for cancer and you have no symptoms whatsoever, no insurance company is going to pay for that test that you want just because you want it. You're talking about you've got a symptom. You're like, I've got a symptom. My stomach hurts or my abdomen hurts. Can you work me up for this and figure out what it is? So we see you. We're like, okay, well, it could be this. This is what we look at, blah, blah, blah. That's reasonable. What's not reasonable is wanting somebody to look for something that isn't there and expecting an insurance company to pay for something without any type of justification for having it done in the first place. That's just completely insane. My dad had colon cancer, and I'm supposed to have a screening colonoscopy before the age of 50 to make sure that to have my initial scan. So instead of waiting till I'm 50, I'm supposed to have it. I'm supposed to have it 2 years ago, and because of all the crap moving and possibly or whatever. I didn't get it done, so I'll get it done when I get back. But some insurance companies may not cover that, even though it's considered a risk factor and I should have an early colonoscopy. Some insurances will cover it, some won't. Thankfully, my insurance company will cover it. But some of them don't have
See,
to.
that should be the doctor's call, not the insurance
we don't have
company.
any power. We don't have any power. That's what I'm saying. We don't just do shit just because. We have to jump through hoops. You know, people come in and they say, hey, my wrist hurts. Can I have an MRI? No, you can't. No, you can't have an MRI because your wrist hurts. And we take the brunt of it. No, you can't have it. How long does it hurt? In other words, I'm like, how long does it hurt? A day. Okay, you want an MRI for your wrist hurting for a day. Have you done anything to treat it? No. Did you take any Tylenol? No. Did you elevate it? No. Did you ice it? No. Did you injure it in any way? No. Okay. No insurance company is going to let me order an MRI for a wrist that you didn't do anything for, you have not had any evaluation for. No one's going to let me order this $3,000 test, $1,000 maybe, because your wrist hurts.
And don't they usually start with an X-ray anyway before jumping to the MRI?
I wouldn't. Well, it depends. Again, it depends on what the provider thinks when they see it. If your wrist hurts, just using that example, if your wrist hurts, it's been a day, and you didn't injure it, no, I'm not going to order an X-ray. There's no point. You did nothing to treat it. You didn't injure it in any way. An X-ray is not going to show me anything because they don't suspect a break. It's soft tissue. Even if you strained it, it's not going to show up on the X-ray. I need to treat it first, do some conservative management on it, and then if it still bothers you, then I'll get an X-ray. I don't want to X-ray something that's not injured and increase your radiation burden for the rest of your life because your wrist just hurts for one day. No.
Yeah, that doesn't go away, does it?
No. These are all stupid conversations. This is why I tell you healthcare is such a fucking nightmare. Because you have to have these stupid fucking conversations. Because do they have these conversations in other countries? I doubt it. I seriously doubt that people this isn't stuff that I'm making up. This is stuff that happens all the fucking time. Thankfully, not so much in this area, but when I'm back home in the quote, in these areas where people make a lot of money and they think they know what the fuck they're talking about and they don't, and then they don't want to do what you recommend, which is even funnier. I'm like, oh, well, I don't want to take any medicine for it. Oh, well, I don't want to do physical therapy or I don't want to do that. I go, no, but you want me to blast you full of radiation. That
or like I
makes a
tell
lot of
you,
fucking sense.
I don't want to quit the Mountain Dew.
Exactly. That's the other thing that bothers me is, when you tell people, it's all about, this job is kind of always telling people what they don't want to hear. That's the truth. Yeah, smokers are a big one. I have all these problems. Please stop smoking. Well, that's not it. You're telling me that it has nothing to do with it? The fuck it doesn't. Holy fuck. Smoking? Are you out of your fucking mind? That's why I tell you, this job, I'm so disenchanted with it. Fuck that, man. I just got a podcast the rest of my life. When people ask me about it, one of the places I'm at right now has 2 students. And I'm like, don't fucking listen to me. Just listen to your preceptor. Don't listen to him. Listen to him. Don't listen to what I have to say. Because I've been doing this a while. And it's rough. It's not easy. It's the rewards compared to the headache and the bullshit you have to put up with are very minimal. It's very imbalanced. Yeah, so.
Speaking of student stuff, I had a lab test and I screwed up and I scored a 95%. I haven't seen what I missed yet, but it was probably something really dumb.
Well, I'd say 95% is very good. If you were my child, I'd fuck with you and say, well, you killed 5 of your patients out of 100. But
maybe.
But I don't, that's just them. That's how I mess with them. But no, 95% is very, very good. Very good. All right. Well, anyway, I think I've beat the healthcare system a little bit to death, but I just want to thank the publishers or the makers of this magazine, and there's more articles in here. This is still just my original one. I'm going to make some more fun of some more of them. But I just want everyone to know that stop trying to look for the answers in modern day life. Stop trying to find that special diet that's going to prolong your life. Stop worrying about that exercise plan or the anti-aging supplements or all the different cool things out there, like my company that does the laser resurfacing and the intense pulse light therapy and plasma and all that other good stuff. Stop worrying about that stuff because it doesn't matter what you do. We're gonna die because of Adam and Eve. We're gonna age and we're gonna die. So stop looking for science to help you because it can't. We're dying because of that original sin, folks. There's nothing you can do about it. Just resign yourself to know that.
All because Eve was chasing a snake.
All because they both went for that apple being held by a baby's hand. That's my theory. All right. So, anything to say there, Doc, before we wrap it up and I have to do my 10 hours of uploading this podcast?
I can't think of anything. I think we've talked this one over pretty good.
All right. Well, then, until next time, I am the Beaveman saying adios, muchfuckos.
Crickets, bitches.